Hi, my friends. Today we will be painting these two cute Easter bunnies, so stick around and let's get to it. Today I'm using my super small sketchbook. It is a cotton paper. I believe it's 50% cotton. Works really good for projects like this. So for painting these bunnies, if you want to pause the video and do the sketch I did, go for it. If not, just start painting on the paper. That works as well. So I am going to be using a variety of, let's just say, kind of browns and tans today for this bunny. And we're going to just start adding in our layers. So this is that basic wash that really doesn't need to be thought about too much, just laying down that color. So I've got some tan, I've got some kind of a reddish brown, I've got some brown as well. And I'm just placing the color here and there. We want to be very mindful about the edges. So for example, where the bunny's chin ends and then the neck begins, we want to differentiate between those two places so that we can not just have one solid form or shape there, but that we can see. In the end, we will want to add in maybe some shadow under the chin, whatever it is, so that we know where his chin stops and the rest of his body starts. So I'm just doing really light layers. So I'm really just using the paint that I have in my palette, and I sprayed down my palette and I'm just going through with really, really watery paint and adding in that color here and there randomly. And as your paint is wet, you can also take some more paint like I am right now and just adding wet paint on the wet paint that's already there. And that's going to spread and it's going to have a really nice edge as well. Now, I'm not really loving this red color here, so I'm trying to blend it out, but I might even just kind of remove it or spread over. It just kind of looks a little weird, like, you know, not the look I'm going for. So a little bit of brown here, and just, it's going to look kind of crazy and wonky, but for the underpainting, that's okay. So a little bit more paint wet on wet, and I'm making sure not to paint around the middle of the ears where the pink is going to go, or the white of the eyes, or the nose as well. The cheeks are kind of getting filled in a little bit. That's okay because we can put some nice bright cheeks over all the paintings and it's going to work out fine. So as you can see with the bunny's head, it's a little bit more narrow at the top and then gets a little bit more rounder, more pear shape towards the bottom of the face because that's where those big old rabbit cheeks are. So I decided to show you my sketch here for the second bunny, and hopefully I'm not going too light, but you can see. So we're doing this circle shape here for the head, if we're thinking about our basic shapes, and then we're going to do the ears are just these basically ovals, and one behind that front one there. And then we're going to add in a little bit of the nose and place where the eye will be for this little bunny guy. And he's going to be side facing. So we're going to do his back side right there. Kind of curve it around. And then the front sometimes can be a little tricky, especially adding in those legs and where exactly you want them to be. And then we'll do that back leg and that hip that kind of pops out right there in the side. And of course the cottontail, the lovely little tail that are just so cute on the bunnies. So after you have your sketch on there, we're just going to start painting it similarly to this other bunny that we did on the left. So grabbing some of that reddish brown and just kind of blobbing it on, leaving a lot of white space to fill it in with other colors. So I'm dipping into my tan color, add some of that right there as well. And as we're putting this together in painting, I want to encourage you to start thinking about the idea of gratitude. Now, when Easter comes around, you have various reasons why people celebrate it. For people who are religious, they're celebrating that Jesus rose from the dead, and they're excited about that day. It's this Resurrection Sunday. They go to church, or they might celebrate a nice dinner with friends. If you are not of the religious sort and you're thinking about the Easter bunny, you know, there's all the candy involved and the Easter egg hunts and all the festivities that people like to participate in when it comes to Easter. And kids, of course, what is it they like the most? It's the candy, if they do receive candy. But I want you guys to think beyond that a little bit more into this idea of gratitude. I'm just adding in some pink for the ears, pink for the cheeks as well. And, on a day of where children are consuming a high amount of sugar, just being able to think about what are the things that you are grateful for? To be able to be grateful to spend this time with family, whether it's in a church setting or it's in your home, an Easter dinner, an egg hunt, going out to dinner, but being able to be around family, if that's how you choose to participate in it. And I'm just using a black pen here, guys, for the eyes. Sometimes it's a lot easier than just using your brush and making the eyes. So we're just going to go ahead and use our pen. And that's one way I like to do it. And what can you be grateful for in these times? If you have those moments where you're spending time with family or friends. Doing our second layer, of course, of our browns and tans for the bunny. But I would encourage you to make a list, whether it's in your head or on a piece of paper, and share that with someone that you love. What are the things you're thankful for? It's not Thanksgiving. I know that's what people typically do on that holiday, but why can't we make Easter a little bit more about that gratitude as well? And if there's anyone in your life that you're grateful for, I encourage you to reach out to them, to tell them that, to send them a card or a note or a gift, and just be very intentional. Gratitude is one way that gives us hope for our future and helps us to focus on the right things, and it helps push us forward in a positive direction. All right, so as we're painting this in, I'm adding in the little black eye of this rabbit here. And there's a little bit of a white we're leaving there just for a highlight. If you don't do that, that's okay. Just going to start blending out that second layer that I added for this Easter bunny guy. And as you can see, it's a lot darker underneath, so we're able to see his chin and his face, and then under his neck, it's a bit darker for maybe that shadowed side of this little guy. All right, mixing up some darker brown, and I'm just going to add that in. So I'm doing a lot of layers. This doesn't have to take you as long as it's taking me here. Sometimes I enjoy that process of adding 2, 3, sometimes 4 layers. I like to work with light colors. Sometimes I don't, but often I do. And that means I'm just adding layer upon layer just until I can get the look that I'm after. So darkening up the pink of the ears. And of course, where we put the pink for his cheeks, that just spread everywhere. But once it's all dry, I'll hit it up with a hairdryer. We'll be able to put more of those details in without everything spreading around, and that'll be really good. A really dark paint here, deciding that it needs a little bit more contrast, a little bit more in his face. So if you haven't heard about where I teach watercolor, I always like to direct people to Patreon. It's a place where you can support me as an artist, but it's also a wonderful place for bonus content. The link is in the description if you're interested. I do live streams over there and art prints and exclusive tutorials. Have so much fun, so you can check that out if you're interested. And I also have plenty of other videos on my YouTube channel if you'd like to see some for painting. I mostly paint flowers and landscapes, mostly flowers than anything. But today we're doing something a little bit different. It's always nice to branch out and try new things. A little pink nose for this bunny. So we have an Easter bunny on the left that's a little bit more cartoony and goofy. And then the one on the right, I'm not saying it's a realistic bunny. I'm just saying it looks a little more realistic than the other guy. Maybe more like a, what is it, Peter Rabbit type of rabbit. I don't know. So now that everything is a bit drier, we can go ahead and add in those really bright cheeks. It's just that nice fluorescent pink there. And we can brighten up his nose as well. Just kind of fill out that detail. And at this point, I hope you can check in with yourself and see if you're enjoying what you're doing and painting. And if you have any type of anxiety, I always tell you, just go ahead and take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. This is such a fun little thing to do. You can even do this with kids if you wanted to. It would be a fun activity. Paint the little Easter bunny or little Easter rabbit together as we're darkening up those details. So we made his cheeks really bright pink, his nose and his ears, adding a little bit more tan just straight out of the paint well not saturating it up because I'd like it to be darker. And then rinsing my brush. And we're going to start working on the other little bunny too, because he definitely needs a bit more details. So I'm just kind of going around where I'm seeing different parts, different edges of where one part starts or one part ends, the other one starts. And so like, for example, over his hip area, made it really dark, but then I might leave it lighter up above that so you can see where the hip begins at the top of that. I would say his arms are looking a little wonky, and that's what happens. I'm a person that does mostly florals and landscapes and doing something a little different out of my comfort zone, but I just wanted to have fun with this for the Easter season. Really wanted to do a bunny and a rabbit for you guys. And so just hopefully you can enjoy this with me. And as you're painting, that you can think of all the ways that you are grateful. I am definitely grateful for my family. I'm grateful for the support they give me. And I'm grateful for a warm house when it is cold out and air conditioning when it is hot out. And I'm grateful for the sun that helps us to produce serotonin. It wakes us up, it makes us happy. And I'm also happy for friends that offer encouragement and love. Okay, so I dried this once again, and we're going to go back in with that black pen, and we're going to add in the details of the little bunny's face, so that little kind of smiley line, I don't know what it's called, some whiskers for the bunny, and this guy definitely needs some whiskers as well. So we'll add in those thin lines and then some little dots where the follicles are, where the whiskers are coming out. And I want to add bigger eyes for this rabbit. I feel like we're going to leave the top, the whites of the eye there, but just adding in some larger irises. And a little bit more for this guy. And that's it. Thanks for painting with me. Happy Easter. I'll see you on the next video.